Hey JHM, my name's Danielle. You may recognize me. I lead JHM at our Park Rapids campus, and I hope you're having a fantastic slumber party this morning. We are moving through an awesome series called Start the Party right now. In it, we're talking about the promise Jesus made about getting the most out of life. Of course, we're not talking about a literal party, though there is one coming your way soon. When we say party, we mean any effort to celebrate, serve, or enjoy others in a way that adds value to life. Being a party starter means being someone who makes space for that to happen however they can. This week, we're going to talk about one specific way we can all choose to be party starters. Before we do, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed somebody to help you out? Take a second and tell somebody about it right now. I remember a time when I was serving in Haiti that I really needed rescue. Two of my friends and I decided to take a shortcut back to the bunkhouse from the mission. We were so excited to walk back through the mountains and watch the sunset. It quickly became obvious that we had made a wrong turn. The pretty sunset turned into complete darkness. We had no idea where we were out of water, and we didn't even speak the right language to ask for help. But thankfully, the mission staff came to find us. They brought a truck with water, found us, and drove us back to the bunkhouse. We all need a little help from time to time, don't we? Everybody does. One glance at what's happening in the world around us shows us that. War, hunger, poverty, racism, injustice, hate speech, bullying, depression. It feels like everywhere we look, somebody is struggling and needs our help. What I love about your generation is how much you care about a cause. Probably more than any generation before you, you're aware of the needs in the world around you. You see the wrong in the world, you read about it, you speak up, you post about it, and you support the cause in your own way. That's an incredible way to be a party starter. But sometimes all of those needs and hurts in the world can be pretty overwhelming. Maybe you see it all and aren't sure what to do to help. Maybe you've made an effort to do something but got discouraged when you didn't see a result. Or maybe you chose to move on and hope someone else will step up to help. Maybe you feel so many feelings about so many wrongs in the world that you have to look away in order to move on. This can be super challenging for all of us because as party starters, we're called to not just live the full life Jesus promised, but to help others do the same. With so many hurts happening in the world, can we really make a difference big enough to make a change? During his life on earth, Jesus often taught people what it looks like to actually be a party starter. He really wanted people to experience a full life. A lot of times he used parables or stories to make sure the people listening really got it. Today we're going to dive into one of those parables. I think it can help us figure out how to step in and offer a bit of rescue when we see a need. Before we get to the story, let me set the scene. Jesus was asked by a religious leader at the time what it was going to take to follow him and live the full life that God promised. Now, this guy didn't ask because he really wanted to know. He asked because he wanted Jesus to answer it the wrong way. You see, the religious leaders knew the law back then inside and out. And because of that, they had an idea of what they thought Jesus would say. But in the ultimate plot twist, Jesus didn't answer the question the way they expected. He answered their question with his own. Take a look. Jesus replied, "What does the law of Moses say? How do you read it?" The man answered, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Luke 10:26 and 27. Sounds simple enough, right? Love God, love yourself, and love your neighbor. Now, maybe you're thinking what this religious leader was thinking. Who exactly is my neighbor? To answer, Jesus told this story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. Luke 10:30. Okay, this doesn't sound good, does it? Here was this guy who was walking down a road people often traveled when he was attacked, robbed, and left for dead. You'd think the first person who walks by would step up and help, but they didn't. A priest saw this wounded traveler and kept walking. A Levite, a man who was also a spiritual leader, came by this guy next, and he kept walking too. At that point, this injured guy probably felt like no one would help him. But then, something kind of incredible happened. Along came a despised Samaritan, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Luke 10:33. This was a huge deal. Back then, Samaritans were disliked, overlooked, and left out by a lot of groups of people, including the religious leaders Jesus was telling this story to. Instead of letting them see the Samaritan as the villain in this story, Jesus made him the hero. The Samaritan didn't just walk by this Jewish man wounded on the side of the road. He didn't choose to do nothing because of the differences between their two groups. Instead, the Samaritan felt compassion for the wounded man in front of him. He saw the need, cared, and wanted to help. And that feeling of compassion motivated him to do something. The Samaritan in this story took care of the man's wounds, transported him to an inn where he could rest, and paid for everything the Jewish man needed while he was there. This Samaritan did all of this because he was loving his neighbor as himself. See, when the religious leader asked Jesus who his neighbor was, he was basically asking, who do I have to help? The people I'm close to? The people I think deserve it? The people who are the same as I am? With this story, Jesus' answer was clear. We're all each other's neighbors. When we love Jesus and follow him with our lives, we can start the party for anyone and everyone simply by loving them as our neighbor. See, this Samaritan wasn't just a neighbor. He was a party starter, because a party starter uses what they have for the good of others. Does that mean you have to help every single person in the world? No, that's just not possible. But as a party starter, you can choose to do what you can, when you can, to help your neighbor in need. Now, when it comes to how you can help others, remember that it isn't about what you do. It's about choosing to see the need and being moved by compassion to meet it. It's about letting God's Spirit lead you to love your neighbor as yourself. The good news is you have what it takes to be a party starter right now. With God, you have all you need to love your neighbor. To start, ask yourself, who is your neighbor? In other words, who are the people you're around on a regular basis? Second, what do they need? Where are they hurting, struggling, or just needing a little help? And third, what do you have to give? Let compassion move you to do something. There are so many things we have that can help others. Think about the time, the resources, the money, the skills, the words, or the actions you can give to help meet your neighbor's need. Some of you might be going through something really difficult right now. Maybe what you need is for someone to be a neighbor to you. And if that's you, that's okay. That's going to be all of us from time to time. The good news is that in your small group, you're surrounded by people who want to be a neighbor to you. You have a great leader and a great group of people who are willing to start the party in your life by helping you through what you're going through right now. So I hope you'll consider opening up to them today. Like we said, the need around us can be overwhelming. We aren't made to meet all the needs we see on our own, but we can start by looking around and meeting just one. Now, as you head to small group, think about this question. What is one need you see around you right now?